Welcome everyone to Cybersecurity Magazine podcast. I'm here with the magazine's editors, Anand, Prasad, and Hans Rudolph. Hi guys, pleasure.
Hi, Anand.
Hi, Anna.
So today we have some interesting topics to discuss. So let's start. As year draws to a close, let's do some reflection and go over the developments over the past year. So in the realm of network as a service, what notable developments have shaped the landscape, and how these changes impact cybersecurity strategies?
Yeah, thanks, Anna. Maybe before we jump into that, I would also like to thank everyone for being part of our this cybersecurity community. As always, our goal has been to bring information about cybersecurity to everyone and grow the awareness. And we have been doing this now over 10 years, kind of, with the Cybersecurity magazine, and always welcome our peers and colleagues and everyone participating in this. So on this point on new developments, yes, network as a service, and new development means there are sometimes things that happen you don't always expect as well. And so network as a service, a thought that we all had been thinking for a while, and now we are seeing it happening in different parts of the world. The benefit there that you hope in is that, of course, it will depend on what kind of attacks that happen, is that you can actually deploy or set up the whole network through cloud. Yeah, this then leads to provisioning of security services as well through the cloud. So you can any kind of functions, if you want to say, take the standard functions that we call about firewalls, or any kind of firewalls, be it the application level, be it the API level, or IDS IPS, or any other configurations, things like that can be provisioned through the cloud. And therefore, you could potentially enhance the security. And additionally, you can do the same for any network functions that are deployed and add any kind of security features on them and monitor them as well, and have kind of a real-time checking of how situations are, identity access management control, and things like that. Yeah. Potentially, it can, if once you are doing the provisioning through cloud, these things could be possible, since you are bringing the whole network as a service uh, from a cloud. Yeah. So that was a little bit on that topic. But of course, uh, attacks are always possible, and that's why we look for solutions to secure and better ways to move ahead. Yeah. I think if I keep on talking, I'll talk too long. So let me pause over there. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anand. And other than that, were there any challenges or trends that significantly impacted the cybersecurity industry in the past year?
Yeah, I mean, as Anand said, attacks are always possible. One of the attacks that we've actually been talking about already last year when we came together here for the sort of year-end podcast were ransomware attacks, already a big topic in 2022. As kind of predicted, even bigger in 2023. I have to admit, when putting together the monthly newsletter for Cybersecurity Magazine, it was sometimes a challenge finding other news than ransomware attacks, because also in this year, those have been quite frequent and quite severe, unfortunately. So those continue to be an issue, not really a novel development, but they are persistent. One additional development, perhaps, that we didn't predict in the last year was the emergence of artificial intelligence, specifically ChatGPT being the most prominent tool probably in that area, and the way that has impacted cybersecurity over the last couple of months. I think none of or very few cybersecurity professionals would have predicted how big of a challenge or how big of an issue that has become in such a short period of time, where you basically have a tool that can write very convincing phishing campaigns in a matter of seconds, can even write the malware that you might want to include in some of these phishing emails. So I think the developers of these tools have been working or have been scrambling quite a bit since they brought out these tools and trying to contain or kind of channel the powers that lie in them to more creative and less destructive use cases.
Yeah, I think maybe I can add a little bit. On the ransomware side, just to recap, probably we also saw the ransomware as a services things happening. I think we mentioned that already last year, and that going further. And with what all Hans said, we are also seeing more and more business email related attacks as well. Yeah. That actually just continued, but increasingly so. Yeah. Just wanted to add a bit on that. Yeah.
Okay. So our next big topic is regulations in cybersecurity. What are some of the important news regarding regulations, certifications, and standards?
If I take this first, to be honest, there were quite a few things happening this year globally. We have seen from US, for example, the White House executive order coming out on the AI safety security aspects, talking about the principles regarding AI and how it should be taken care of because of its huge implications. Yeah, kind of relates to what Hans also just mentioned about AI aspects. On the other thing, we also saw is also coming from US, I think, on the national cybersecurity strategy. Something similar, not exactly the same, has been happening in Japan. It's not. It was, I think, done last year, but still there are some enhancements ongoing here in Japan as well, and other parts of world too. One of the things that I recently observed, and I cannot remember exactly the news, is about asking companies to be more transparent about attacks and announcing that, yeah, within certain time frame. So these kind of things are happening. Hans, I'm pretty sure you have something more to add to this.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, what we see across the board and across the globe is really a push from regulators to put more attention to cybersecurity issues, to AI issues as well, which was also a very recent executive order from the White House. Of course, in the EU, we see similar developments. That is nothing new. Of course, there's always a little bit of a delay. These acts and new legislations being announced, and then of course the whole industry business community, taking some time actually putting that in action and acting upon that to be compliant. So there. I think the most important things that we would need to mention is the new NIS2 regulation in the EU, which includes security requirements on some of the most important operational processes, supply chain security as well, which I believe was also something similar from the White House in the last year. We have the Cyber Resilience Act, the CRA in the EU, which I believe also was 2022, but now we see a lot of people paying a lot of attention to that and ensuring that they are set up to comply with that regulation.
Yeah, agreed, Hans. And on the timing of this also, it cannot just happen in one day. That's also a good point. Importance of regulations because of what's happening, but at the same time, practicality of its being brought in place, and many other countries additionally on security assessments and things like that at different level coming up in place. Yeah.
Thank you. And what are some specific pieces of regulations that you would like to highlight? For example, we went to ETSI Security Week where we did the podcast about the Cybersecurity Act.
I think the Cybersecurity Act, one of the aspects that is important there is certification. So we do see that being discussed in more detail on the EU level. Where exactly they stand with the different cybersecurity certification schemes there, I'm not quite sure, but I know definitely there's work going on in Europe to make sure these schemes are being developed and can then also be adopted according to the CSA. On specifically the ETSI Security Conference, probably Anna or you, Anand, have a bit more to say.
Yeah, I was this time after quite some time. I was again at the ETSI Security Conference. The conference was, I have to say, in past now how many years I'm forgetting. It has grown in size. There were about close to 300 people, I think, isn't it, Anna? And quite a lot of topic covers in those. I think 4 days. We had keynotes and things like that. All the key topics like, of course, zero trust aspect, regulation aspects, and regulations means also security assurance related topics also coming up in detail. IoT aspects were covered, 6G, quantum, post-quantum aspects obviously covered as well. And then augmented reality was a topic, AI as too. And these technical details and stuff, I think I don't need to go on each topic. We'll take them as time comes. We've taken them also throughout this year and last year or previous years as well. Maybe a slightly different topic would be a session that was covering about the resources issues and the education and awareness part, as well as what is called inclusion, or everyone being able to work on cybersecurity aspects. Yeah, so that part was also quite a bit discussed this time in the ETSI Cybersecurity Conference. Yeah, it's we appreciate ETSI for us for having us as a partner, Cybersecurity Magazine as a partner.
Yep.
I think that has been a good development between us. Yeah.
Yeah, it was great. And as we look ahead to the new year, based on the insights gathered throughout the year, what are the anticipated trends or challenges in cybersecurity?
One thing is the open source threat intelligence aspects that we are seeing. It is increasingly becoming important, and it's nothing new, of course. It's because any kind of threat intel had this kind of information, and now potentially this being much more organized and being much more impactful and coming in open source way, helping all other threat intelligence that the companies have available to themselves. Yeah, that's one point. The other point I would also say is the recent news that we heard about impact on CISOs, CISOs, or Chief Information Security Officers, and thus showing potentially the awareness at different level of cybersecurity increasing, but at the same time to have better understanding of how to act on this matter. I don't think everything is stable at this point of time, but still seeing a move towards that direction since we are talking about future aspects.
Definitely. So I probably would go back to some of the topics that we've already mentioned that were big topics in the past year. Certainly, security professionals will continue to grapple with the impacts of generative AI and how to perhaps not only, fight against that on the defensive side, but maybe also use AI, actually make use of AI in some of the more defensive security fields. Certainly, if you think about it, it's easier to wreak havoc with these technologies than it is to use them for good. But there are certain areas where AI is already used in security controls today, and I think that's going to be one topic that's going to continue to be relevant. And of course, also regulating these new developments, regulations, and the actual impact that they're going to have on the operations of big organizations, of companies, and also how we develop new technologies that incorporate, for example, artificial intelligence and other technologies. So that's continue to be a relevant field. I think one topic that is, because we talk about regulation and technology quite a bit, want to pick up on one of the things that you mentioned. Certainly making strides to make cybersecurity jobs more inclusive, more open, not only making it easy for anyone to come into this field, because as we said on this podcast a number of times before, it is important to have different perspective in our industries, right? We don't just want to have, guys that studied cybersecurity and computer science sitting in cybersecurity roles, but really people from different perspectives and from different backgrounds, because in the end, that's going to benefit the whole industry and the whole profession, but also making sure that these people stay in cybersecurity roles, right? We all don't benefit by making this a job that is extremely stressful, extremely challenging. One of the things that we actually also saw in the past year was a lot of blogs, articles about how many percentage of people in our industry report being near burned out or being burned out. So I think that's also one thing that needs to be considered even more as we go forward.
Agreed, Hans. Couple of points, and I will also end with the resources side in this. The enhancements also happening because of these aspects is towards automation, increasingly so. The second thing that I actually got into discussion recently was also that the speed at which now people are taking the baseline security aspects more seriously, and baseline security aspects meaning the knowing your asset, knowing what vulnerabilities they have, patching, taking care of those, or hardening if you want as a better term, and taking care of identity access management or privilege access management, all these things is improving at a much faster pace. Very good to see, really very good to see that. And automation at the same time potentially helping with the resource shortage, but it can never do it entirely. Yeah. Even if people say AI will help, but it cannot help entirely. There will be resource shortages. And there, again, cybersecurity is a field which is not just purely something technical that you have to discuss zero and ones. There are many parts of it. One part is, for example, talking to regulators or law enforcement agencies, appropriate cybersecurity PR and things like that, and communication worldwide. All these things fall under cybersecurity. So there are many things to be taken care of, and there's variety of people and resources required in the field. Yeah, I think with that I'll stop. Otherwise, I'll keep on as usual talking on many things. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Anand. I think we covered all of the topics. Anything to add as a takeaway message?
I mean, I'll say the usual message to everyone: keep on coming to us to the Cybersecurity magazine. We always try to bring information to everyone of value, and we invite, of course, if anyone wants to write an article, present an article, have a discussion in a podcast, is also very much welcome. And thank you for supporting us, and looking forward to have the same in next year as well. That's all from my side.
Okay. Well, thank you, Anand and Hans, for participating in the podcast.
Thank you, Anna.
Thank you. Thanks, Anna.